Therefore, to make this point clearer, I say that the nobles ought to be looked at in mainly two ways. That is to say, they either shape their course in such a way as binds them entirely to your fortune, or they do not. Those who so bind themselves and are not rapacious ought to be honoured and loved. Those who do not bind themselves may be dealt with in two ways. They may fail to do this through pusillanimity and a natural want of courage, in which case you ought to make use of them, especially those who are of good counsel, and thus, whilst in prosperity you honour them, in adversity you do not have to fear them. But when, for their own ambitious ends, they shun binding themselves, it is a token that they are giving more thought to themselves than you, and a prince ought to guard against such, and to fear them, as if they were open enemies, because in adversity they always help to ruin him. Therefore, one who becomes a prince through the favour of the people ought to keep them friendly, and this he can easily do, seeing they only ask not to be oppressed by him. But one who, in opposition to the people, becomes a prince by the favour of the nobles, ought, above everything, to seek to win over the people to himself, and this he may do easily, if he takes them under his protection, because men, when they receive good from him of whom they were expecting evil, are bound more closely to their benefactor. Thus the people quickly become more devoted to him than if he had been raised to the principality by their favours, and the prince can win their affections in many ways, but as these vary according to the circumstances, one cannot give fixed rules, so I omit them. But, I repeat, it is necessary for a prince to have the people friendly, otherwise he has no security in adversity. Nabis, prince of the Spartans, sustained the attack of all Greece, and of a victorious Roman army, and against them he defended his country and his government, and for the overcoming of this peril, it was only necessary for him to make himself secure against a few, but this would not have been sufficient had the people been hostile. And do not let anyone impugn this statement with the trite proverb that he who builds on the people builds on the mud, for this is true when a private citizen makes a foundation there, and persuades himself that the people will free him when he is oppressed by his enemies or by the magistrates, wherein he would find himself very often deceived, as happened to the Gracchi in Rome, and to Messer Giorgio Scali in Florence. But granted a prince who has established himself, as above, who can command, and is a man of courage, undismayed in adversity, who does not fail in other qualifications, and who, by his resolution and energy, keeps the whole people encouraged, such a one will never find himself deceived in them, and it will be shown that he has laid his foundations well. These principalities are liable to danger when they are passing from civil to the absolute order of government, for such princes either rule personally or through magistrates. In the latter case, their government is weaker and more insecure, because it rests entirely on the goodwill of those citizens who are raised to the magistracy, and who, especially in troubled times, can destroy the government with great ease, either by intrigue or open defiance, and the prince has not the chance amid tumults to exercise absolute authority, because the citizens and subjects, accustomed to receive orders from the magistrates, are not of a mind to obey him, amid these confusions, and there will always be in doubtful times a scarcity of men whom he can trust. For such a prince cannot rely upon what he observes in quiet times, when citizens have need of the state, because then everyone agrees with him, they all promise, and when death is far distant, they all wish to die for him. But in troubled times, when the state is in need of its citizens, then he finds but few. And so much more is the experiment dangerous, inasmuch as it can only be tried once. Therefore a wise prince ought to adopt such a course that his citizens will always, in every sort and kind of circumstance, have need of the state and of him, and then he will always find them faithful. Chapter 10. Concerning the way in which the strength of all principalities ought to be measured. It is necessary to consider another point in examining the character of these principalities, that is, whether a prince has such power that, in case of need, he can support himself with his own resources, or whether he has always need of the assistance of others. And to make this quite clear, I say that I consider those who are able to support themselves by their own resources who can, either by abundance of men or money, raise a sufficient army to join battle against anyone who comes to attack them. And I consider those always to have need of others who cannot show themselves against the enemy in the field, but are forced to defend themselves by sheltering behind walls. The first case has been discussed, but we will speak of it again should it recur. In the second case, one can say nothing except to encourage such princes to provision
Hey, Omen, I respect a guy who knits. It's pretty cute.
It helps me focus. Oh, what do you care?
I'm out of here. Gotta go. Go, go, go. I'm out of here. Watch out.
Spike planted.
Sleep tight. Hawk out.
Last player standing.
Sky, if your pets find them, tell me. I don't speak wolf or tiger, whatever.
I will be their nightmare.
Reloading. Go, go, go! Watch out!
Spike planted.
Be gone.
Last player standing.
I'll outshine all their radiance.
Gotta go! Go, go, go!
I will rip the light from them.
Reloading. Reloading. Gotta go! Go, go, go!
Spike planted.
Almost out.
Hawk out! Enemy spotted.
Last player standing.
Make sure to follow my pack in. They'll lead us right to the enemy.
Reloading. I'm out of here. of here! Gotta go! Taken out. Go, go, go!
Spike planted.
Oh yeah! Monster on the loose!
All missiles away.
I'm out of here. Shortcut.
One enemy remaining.
Out of charges. Gotta go.
Keep pushing. Tenemos mucho camello.
I'm out of here. Go, go, go. Gotta go. Gotta go.
Cover going out. Look sharp.
I'm out of here.
Spike planted.
Hawk out. Blinded. Hawk out.
Take this.
Enemy spotted. Heads up.
Sky, what I... Wait, no.
One enemy remaining.
Defuse the spike.
All good. Ah! Someone see!
Last player standing. Clutch.
Well done, Sky. Nature's wrath indeed.
Go, go, go. Go, go, go.
One less. My ult's ready.
Back up.
Reloading.
My ult's ready. I'm out of here.
Fast traveling.
There.
Last player standing.
Me cago en muertos, hijo de la gran puta.
And fortify their towns, and not on any counts to defend the country. And whoever shall fortify his town well, and shall have managed the other concerns of his subjects in the way stated above, and to be often repeated, will never be attacked without great caution.
Spike planted.
For men are always adverse to enterprises where difficulties can be seen, and it will not be seen to be an easy thing to attack one who is his town well fortified and is not hated by his people. The cities of Germany are absolutely free, but they own but little country around them, and they yield obedience to the emperor when it suits them, nor do they fear this or any other power that they may have near them, because they are fortified in such a way that everyone thinks the taking of them by assault would be tedious and difficult. Seeing that they have proper ditches and walls, they have sufficient artillery, and they always keep in public depots enough for 1 year's eating, drinking and firing. And beyond this, to keep the people quiet and without loss to the state, they always have the means of giving work to the community in those labours that are the life and strength of the city, and on the pursuit of which the people are supported. They also hold military exercises in repeat.
Gotta go.
Locating targets. One suppressed.
I'm out of here.
That's a kill. Spotted.
Spike planted. Last player standing.
Y'all better keep up.
Need a drop.
Let's go.
Salamat, thanks. Go, go, go!
Enemy spotted A.
This is how it ends.
Spike down A.
Reloading.
One enemy remaining.
My ultimate threat.
Easy, man.
There can only be one hero.
My advice? Don't get shot.
Reloading.
I'm out of here. Go, go, go!
Don't give them ground. Enemy spotted A.
Gotta go!
Oh yeah! Monster on the loose!
Running low.
Enemy spotted A.
I'm out of here.
Come on, let's go.
What?
Spike planted.
Enemies.
Last player standing.
The MVP is mine. Let's do this.
I'm out of here.
Find the weak point and break it.
Bye-bye.
Ended.
Someone's A.
One enemy remaining.
Go, go, go!
Right. Stop that.
No, then, Papaja. If you compromise your position, you hand them a free.
Gotta go!
Got hit.
Gotta go! Let's go!
Spike down, C.
Enemy spotted. Mid. Enemy
There.
spotted. Que buena.
Reloaded. Here. Go on my mark. Help.
Look out.
Watching here.
Go, go, go!
Dropped.
Reload him.
Time to hunt.
Weapon here.
I'm out of here.
Spike planted.
Gotta go! Running low.
Heal up, squad.
One enemy
Go,
remaining.
go, gotta go! Spike's dead. I'm out of here.
Last round in the half.
Spend everything. We keep nothing.
Go, go, go!
Anyone need something?
Anyone need something? I need this. Thank you.
Need a drop.
I'm saving. Anyone need something? Coward, run.
Drone going out. Three suppressed. Missile deployed.
Here we go! Almost out.
Sage killed.
Go, go, go!
One enemy remaining. Spike down, C. Last player standing.
Gotta go!
Switching sides.
Remember, bullets hurt. Go, go, go! I'm out of here. Gotta go. There.
Let's get the advantage.
Cover going out.
Reloaded. Here.
I'm out of here.
Watch your eyes.
One enemy remaining.
I'm out of here. Gotta go.
That's it, break time.
Make peace with yourself before you pull the trigger. No one else can judge you.
Go, go, go. There.
Watch your step.
There.
down A.
The spike. Reloading.
Go, go, go!
Hawk out.
Spike's down.
Spike down A. Last player standing.
New fight, new tactics, keep it fresh, yeah?
Gotta go! Go, go, go! There. Gotta go!
By any means necessary. Drone going out.
Hawk out.
One suppressed.
There! Take this! Go, go, go!
Careful now.
Got him! I'm out of here!
Reloading. Healing over here.
I'm out of here! We're good!
One enemy remaining.
Spike planted. Easy, Sage. I'm twitchy here. Let's go already.
And moreover have many ordinances to uphold them.
I'm out of here!
Therefore, a prince who has a strong city and has not made himself odious will not be attacked, or if anyone should attack, he will only be driven off with disgrace. Again, because the affairs of this world are so changeable, it is almost impossible to keep an army a whole year in the field without being interfered with, and whoever should reply, if the people have property outside the city and see it burnt, they will not remain patient, and the long siege and self-interest will make them forget their prince. To this I answer that a powerful and courageous prince will overcome all such difficulties by giving at one time hope to his subjects that the evil will not be for long, at another time fear of the cruelty of the enemy, then preserving himself adroitly from those subjects who seem to him to be too bold. Further, the enemy would naturally, on his arrival, at once burn and ruin the country at the time when the spirits of the people are still hot and ready for the defence, and therefore so much the less ought the prince to hesitate, because after a time, when spirits have cooled and the damage is already done, the ills are incurred, and there is no longer any remedy, and therefore they are so much more the ready to unite with the prince, he appearing to be under obligations to them now that their houses have been burnt and their possessions ruined in his defence. For it is the nature of men to be bound by the benefits they confer as much by those as they receive. Therefore, if everything is well considered, it will not be difficult for a wise prince to keep the minds of his citizens steadfast from first to last, when he does not fail to support and defend them. Chapter 11. Concerning ecclesiastical principalities. It only remains now to speak of ecclesiastical principalities, touching which all difficulties are prior to getting possession, because they are acquired either by capacity or good fortune, and they can be held without either, for they are sustained by the ancient ordinances of religion, which are so all-powerful, and of such a character that the principalities may be held no matter how their princes behave and live. These princes alone have states and do not defend them. They have subjects and do not rule them, and the states, though unguarded, are not taken from them, and the subjects, although not ruled, do not care, and they have neither the desire nor the ability to alienate themselves. Such principalities only are secure and happy, but being upheld by powers to which the human mind cannot reach, I shall speak no more of them, because, being exalted and maintained by God, it would be the act of a presumptuous and rash man to discuss them. Nevertheless, if anyone should ask of me how it comes that the Church has attained such greatness in temporal power, seeing that from Alexander backwards the Italian potentates, not only those who have been called potentates, but every baron and lord, though the smallest, have valued their temporal power very slightly, yet now King of France trembles before it, and it has been able to drive him from Italy, and to the ruin of the Venetians, although this may be very manifest, it did not appear to me superfluous to recall it in some measure to memory. Before Charles, King of France, passed into Italy, this country was under the dominion of the Pope, the Venetians, the King of Naples, the Duke of Milan, and the Florentines. These potentates had two principal anxieties: the one that no foreigner should enter Italy under arms, the other that none of themselves should seize more territory. Those about whom there was most anxiety were the Pope and the Venetians. To restrain the Venetians, the union of all the others was necessary, as it was for the defence of Ferrara, and to keep down the Pope they made use of the barons of Rome, who, being divided into two factions, the Orsini and the Colonnesi, had always a pretext for disorder, and, standing with arms in their hands under the eyes of the pontiff, kept the pontificate weak and powerless. And although there might arise sometimes a courageous pope, such as Sixtus, yet neither fortune nor wisdom could rid him of these annoyances, and the short life of a pope is also a cause for weakness, for in the 10 years, which is the average life of a pope, he can with difficulty lower one of the factions, and if, so to speak, one people should almost destroy the Colonnesi, another would rise hostile to the Orsini, who would support their opponents, and yet would not have time to ruin the Orsini. This was the reason why the temporal powers of the Pope were little esteemed in Italy. Alexander VI rose afterwards, who, of all the pontiffs that had ever been, showed how a pope with both money and arms was able to prevail, and though the instrumentality of the Duke Valentino, and by the reason of the entry of the French, he brought about all those things which I have discussed above in the actions of the Duke. And although his intention was not to aggrandize the Church, but the Duke, nevertheless he did contribute to the greatness of the Church, which, after his death and the ruin of the Duke, became the heir to all his labours. Pope Julius came afterwards and found the Church strong, possessing all the Romagna, the barons of Rome reduced to impotence, and through the chastisements of Alexander, the factions wiped out. He also found the way open to accumulate money in a manner such as never been practised before Alexander's time. Such things Julius not only followed, but improved upon, and he intended to gain Bologna, to ruin the Venetians, and to drive the French out of Italy. All of these enterprises prospered with him, so much more to his credit, inasmuch as he did everything to strengthen the Church, and not any private person. He also kept the Orsini and the Colonnesi factions within the bounds in which he found them, and although there was among them some mind to make disturbance, nevertheless he held two things firm: the one, the greatness of the Church, with which he terrified them, and the other, not allowing them to have their own cardinal, who caused the disorders among them. For whenever these factions have their cardinals, they do not remain quiet for long, because cardinals foster the factions in Rome and out of it, and the barons are compelled to support them, and thus from the ambitions of prelates arise disorders and tumults among the barons. For these reasons, His Holiness Pope Leo found the pontificates most powerful, and it is to be hoped that, if others made it great in arms, he will make it still greater and more venerated by his goodness and infinite other virtues. Chapter 12. How many kinds of soldiery there are, and concerning mercenaries. Having discoursed particularly on the characteristics of such principalities as in the beginning I proposed to discuss, and having considered in some degree the causes of their being good or bad, and having shown the methods by which they have sought to acquire them and to hold them, it now remains for me to discuss generally the means of offence and defence which belong to each of them. We have seen above how necessary it is for a prince to have his foundations well laid, otherwise it follows of necessity that he will go to ruin. The chief foundations of all states, new as well as old or composite, are good laws and good arms. And as there cannot be good laws where the state is not well armed, it follows that where they are well armed they have good laws. I shall leave the laws out of the discussion, and I shall speak of the arms. I say, therefore, that the arms with which a prince defends his state are either his own, or they are mercenaries, auxiliaries, or mixed. Mercenaries and auxiliaries are useless and dangerous, and if one holds his state based on these arms, he will stand neither firm nor safe, for they are disunited, ambitious, and without discipline, unfaithful, valiant before friends, cowardly before enemies. They have neither the fear of God nor fidelity to men, and destruction is deferred only so long as the attack is. For in peace one is robbed by them, and in war by the enemy. The fact is, they have no other attraction or reason for keeping the field than a trifle of a stipend, which is not sufficient to make them willing to die for you. They are ready enough to be your soldiers, whilst you do not make war, but if war comes, they take themselves off or run from the foe, which I should have little trouble to prove, for the ruin of Italy has been caused by nothing else than by resting all her hopes for many years on mercenaries. And although they formerly made some display and appeared valiant amongst themselves, yet when the foreigners came they showed what they were. Thus it was that Charles, King of France, was allowed to seize Italy with chalk in hand, and he who told us that our sins were the cause of it told the truth, but they were not the sins he imagined, but those of which I have related, and as they were the sins of princes, it is the princes who have also suffered the penalty. I wish to demonstrate further the infelicity of these arms. The mercenary captains are either capable men or they are not, and if they are, you cannot trust them, because they always aspire to their own greatness, either by oppressing you, who are their master, or others contrary to your intentions. But if the captain is not skillful, you are ruined in the usual way. And if it be urged that whoever is armed will act in the same way, whether mercenary or not, I reply that when arms have been resorted to, either by a prince or a republic, then the prince ought to go in person and perform the duty of a captain. The republic has to send its citizens, and when one is sent who does not turn out satisfactorily, it ought to recall him, and when one is worthy, to hold him by the laws so he does not leave the command. And experience has shown that princes and republics, single-handed, making the greatest progress, and mercenaries doing nothing except damage, and it is more difficult to bring a republic, armed with its own arms, under the sway of one of its citizens,